control what you see.
We have been lulled into a trance.
They decide what you hear.
Wake up! They're all about you, all around you.
You think they're people, just like you.
What do these things want, and why are they here?
You're wrong. Dead wrong. John Carpenter's They Live. Rated R. Starts Friday, November 4th at theaters everywhere.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
You will suffer an eternity for this.
I think we lost Jeff. Oh man, welcome back everybody to another episode of 0 Point Reviews. We just lost our host, I think. Hold on one second. Okay, so it's not just me. Hold on one second. Oh, he just left us. Okay, he's joining right back in. Anyways, thank you guys all very much for joining us. Jeff's going to kick us off officially in just a second. We're going to be working on an awesome flick tonight. We're starting off with another John Carpenter. Are we doing a trilogy this time? I don't know if we're going on trilogy or quadrilogy, but we're starting off tonight with They Live. So we're super excited about that. We'd be even more excited if our host would join us. Where is he? Oh, man. All right. Well, hold on one second, because he's got the format. How was my day? My day was actually okay. My day was pretty cool. We could talk about that. My day was like consisting of working and getting ready to work and trying to fit all this in, which was pretty cool. I got most of this done before the sun even came up and before I even had to go to work. So I was just super happy. Just go. Shut up, Jeff. All right. He's texting me. He can't get on because his Wi-Fi sucks. Jeff is at a hotel. He's on vacation this week. He's right next door to Universal Studios. Like he's right next to where Jaws pops out of the water. Yes, that's a pun. And his Wi-Fi sucks. So, but he's going to be coming back on. But if I may bring on our guests for this week, we have both Leon Idol joining us. Leon, say hello.
I am here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And actually, no, I found it. Never mind, we're good. I got it.
Sweet. Did you bring enough for the whole class?
Well, there's now 3 of us here, thanks to his untimely absence. So yes, because I have 3 pieces left. So actually, I'm glad that he decided to die.
Sweet, very sweet.
I am not, however, sharing my vodka though.
No, I respect that. And also joining us is Moxie. Moxie, please say hello.
Hello, how are you? Yeah, you stole my bubble gum thing. I was gonna have my shotgun and everything, but I know that's a YouTube bad, so you know.
No way. Did you have a bubblegum bit too?
I was gonna say the line, but I was gonna have the gun. But you can't have the gun. You can't hold guns on YouTube. It's naughty.
Can you really not?
You can't be handling them or automatic demonetization. So like my shooting range days, instant demonetization.
Get out.
Yeah.
That's gay.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
that stinks. Huh. Actually, anyway, we can't get too terribly much into that, but my dad was a police officer, so like I grew up in places like that. So it's kind of like, oh, you can't show that? Lame. Actually, come to think of it, last year for 4th of July, we on one of our live streams, we did a montage from YouTube that was just like firework fails and people getting hurt and stuff like that. And it was all really funny. And we got dinged for it. I'm like, what? I
got blocked for a fight at like a Wendy's that I showed on stream.
I remember that.
There was no blood. There was nothing.
That's free entertainment. That's free entertainment.
Ironically enough, your biggest video is Waffle House Wendy.
The character. Let's be a little more specific. Welcome back, Jeff. To the land of the living. Okay, that was bad. Sorry.
I see what you did there.
The they living?
The they living. Yeah.
Yes.
They don't know. They're not all winners.
Only about 50% of the time. That was clever. Come on. I just thought of that on the spot.
I dig it. And Mike's digging on the black and white. I like that. That was way better than my consume idea. Did I put consume? I think. Anyway, it's the green screen. So anyhow, let's see here. Jeff's not here to talk. He could hear us. I don't know if he's able to talk right now. Can you hear us?
The cheese dip back in 1957.
Amazing lines in this.
Got clips.
Did fall in the cheese dip, but just not in 1957. It was more like 1987. Yeah.
And yes, I'm here. I can hear everybody. Everything's smoothing out with our stupid internet here in the hotel.
I just wanted to make sure.
Also known as the broadcast signal is interrupting me. They do not want me on this stream. So screw LA and screw the stupid hotel and its Wi-Fi. But hey, whatever. That's fine. I'm here. We're talking They Live. Let's freaking go.
Sleep. All right. So Jeff, go ahead and you've got the floor with asking the questions of who saw it first, when, and where.
All right, Leon, let's get started with you. What's your first time watching this movie, and what is your first memory of it? Or answer that however you choose to.
Tonight. I had known about this film, but I had never seen it. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm a government conspiracy theory dude, and somehow I had never seen this. So my most recent memory is of about 2 hours ago when we wrapped and thinking that it was fucking awesome.
Hey, fresh in the mind. Can't go wrong with that.
My turn.
Yeah. Let's go with Moxie now. My
You know, we lost him again.
So we'll go around the loop.
Around the table. So I first saw They Live probably as a under 10-year-old, and I saw it on TV because I think it was a rated R movie originally, right? And we weren't allowed to watch rated R movies, so like I watched the TV version and then like rewatched it several times and just rewatched it again last night for a little refresher. It's a great movie still and rewatch. It's super cheesy. Love it. Super creepy as I watched as a kid, but yeah, love the camp. Love the practical effects. And the whole premise for the show. It's great.
I love the camp too. And they demolish it near the beginning of the film.
Oh gosh, yes.
I'm so ashamed.
No, you're not. You love it.
Oh dear.
What about you, Gavin?
So I remember seeing like posters for this and cutouts for this that had the hot rod's eyes and the glasses and the reflection of the aliens. I remember seeing that in the video store as a kid, but I never rented it. I don't know why. I don't know if like my dad said it was stupid looking because he didn't like Prince of Darkness, like because I know he loves John Carpenter movies. Or if he just thought it was dumb because Hot Rod was in it. Maybe he thought it was going to be dumb because it was a wrestler. Because Hulk Hogan's movies were all that in a bag of chips. I
haven't heard bag of chips in a long time. Thank you for bringing that back.
You are so welcome. Did my hairline just recede that much further? Like
Yes, it did.
Thank you. I just aged myself.
Similar vintage. It's fine.
Thank you. I think I was maybe like in my 30s when I first saw this. I was 30. I want to say 31 because I wasn't married yet, but I was engaged. And
Please don't lie to me.
I know. I remember really enjoying it. My wife not, and like 10 years later, she didn't want to rewatch it again. She's like, "No, that's on you. Have fun though." Like, whatever.
Women.
So I watched it in bed last night, and I was kind of like, "Yay! I'm so happy!" And I went to bed pretty goddamn happy watching it. Like, just me and Hot Rod. Sounds pretty cool,
Ain't nothing
The
wrong
little
with
gay.
right?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, and that's also a WWE reference.
Yeah, we won't reference anything else on Kevin for any of our other streams, unfortunately. So that this is not that stream for that. And Kevin knows what he's talking about. There's a special little hole for him.
So don't change anything.
Yeah, don't change anything, bro.
Okay, I won't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just saying. Just saying.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not sorry. You never are sorry, Mr. Kevin Smith. Wrong Kevin Smith. At least I'm in LA surrounded by a real Kevin Smith somewhere around here. But for me, my first interpretation and first introduction to They Live was literally as about 9 years old. And I gotta say, like, it was on, I don't think I saw it in the theater. I'm pretty sure it was off of some bootleg tape of somebody who saw it in a theater. Because back then they would take the camcorders in. And when I saw it that way, I'm like, hey, I like this movie. And so every year or every generation of the formats of like VHS to like DVD, Laserdisc, all of that, I have almost They Live on just about every format. It's one of the very few movies I do. And I'm still needing to get that Laserdisc, but I got everything else for They Live. And I absolutely love this movie. It's one of my absolute favorites. So it got me into wanting to watch Big Trouble in Little China and a lot of John Carpenter movies. So this is my introduction to John Carpenter. They Live because of Roddy Piper and some badass fight scenes and great performances all around.
That's cool.
You know, they use the word great a bit liberally here. Like, I like the movie a lot, but I don't know if I'd go great. Like, good, maybe.
Well, for its time in '88, between John Nada and Frank and their fight scene, that was a bit unheard of that a scene would go that long for a fight. And John Carpenter let them shoot that as they wanted to. So at the time, it was a great fight. Now, is it going to hold up today? No, of course
I think it does. I think that's the best film, portion. Like, don't get me wrong, the movie as a whole is good. The message is good and whatnot, but like pure choreography and enjoyment standards, I think that is the best scene in the film. And it is so much more. Every time I thought it would be over, because again, that was my first time seeing it. Every time I thought it was over, it did it again. I was like, okay, put his the glass is physically on him. It has to be over now. Like it was a really good, well choreographed fight scene.
And then peel his eyelids back so we make sure he's looking.
Life's a bitch. She's back in heat.
Yeah, that alleyway fight scene went on forever, but it was hilarious. He's like, just put the dang glasses on. Just put them on.
It wasn't asking anything irrational or unheard of.
I was watching my roommate, and he said the same thing. He's like, dude, if someone came up to me and said, hey, put these on, I'd have put in the fuck. I was like, yeah, same. Like,
doesn't hurt me.
Do you have lice? So, all right, we're hitting the good. Since we're talking about this scene, I do want to talk about, like, look at his cheeks right there. We're talking about the practical effects. I know he was doing steroids. Everybody was at this point. But for this fight scene, the way they did the makeup, it actually looks like they were beating the shit out of each other for 5 minutes. Like, his face was all puffy and swollen. The blood that was coming out looked like it had been coming out the pores instead of lacerations. And it was pretty goddamn good.
Piper's a vampire.
So there's also the, I mean, I gotta give my roommate credit for picking up on this. There's a lot of moments in this film, and especially here, where when he's talking, he's clenching his jaw because cocaine will do that to you. So that's probably also a reason for the puffiness and whatnot.
There's an angle.
Maybe. It was a Carpenter film. It was the 80s. They were voting for Ronald Reagan.
And Carpenter hated Reaganomics, and he also hated the consumerism that was showing up at that time. So this was his little punchline on all of that.
Which is
There's
fun.
a lot of punches in this movie.
There was, but like the 80s was completely consumerism. That's all that fucking was. And I miss it to a large point. But it's funny. Hot Rod didn't dislike Reagan. He didn't dislike the culture of the 80s. He was part of that culture of the 80s. So it was interesting that there was two opposite ends of the spectrum on this picture. And they came out.
Oh, you mean back in the time when people could disagree politically and still work together and get along? Fucking shocking.
Right?
No kidding.
We all sound old.
This might well be.
Well,
Back in my day.
all I'm going to say is, like,
Say it, Kevin.
there is an episode of Night Court where they're all about the election of what's happening or whatever local is going on. And Dan's asking the public defender before Christine, who she was voting for. She's like, the only way to maintain a free election is to maintain a private election. I'm like, ooh, I'm writing that shit down. So I just don't talk about it. I make fun of everybody. 0.Point. It's my first one. I'm allowed.
So you're about 4 behind your quota, Kevin. You need to start catching up here, buddy.
You fucked me up at the beginning. I'm 4 ahead.
Yeah, so you say.
Mom, Dad, stop fighting. It's my first time.
That's what we do around here.
kind of a bickering old couple. Just not.
Told you to clean the dishes, Kevin. You freaking didn't do it. I'm on vacation with my wife over here. So get to work, boy.
Sorry.
I feel like homie on the right has actually heard that exact same sentence.
Yeah.
See, that's the subtle jokes you said we were allowed to make, right?
Yes. 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 And it's not even Thursday. Which, how do you guys handle Racist Thursday with Stargate Files?
We don't.
Oh, lame.
We're relatively tame, except for when ABF comes on, and then I gotta start calling everybody gay.
But are they?
Everyone has AIDS.
Pretty much. I need to get that clip too, apparently. I'm working on extra
Wildly
content for
popular.
that stuff.
Those are people who don't live.
They're living longer these days. So I hear.
Magic's doing
And they
all
don't
right.
have to disclose that there's going to be more of them. Maybe, potentially, allegedly.
Allegedly. That's pretty good. I like that one. All right, Kevin, tell us about something else you like, mister.
So the concept of this, the consumerism, the Reaganomics, I love the concept of being able to take off and put on glasses to be able to see what's right behind that veil, because obviously companies have tried to use subliminal messaging in ads for 50, 60 years, since the 50s on, when they were doing Jesus. Who is the director that Matinee is about?
That's a good
Castle.
question.
William Castle.
I had dyslexia. I always read that as manatee.
Yes, I did too. And in fact, I called it that on Saturday night. Thank you. I did too. But they used to have like flashes of pictures of drink Coke in between reels, or like pictures of reels of previews, or in between the movie, it would say drink Coke before the intermission, thinking it would make people want to get up, go to the lobby, and get concessions. So this is a good play on that as well. And it's true, like magazines Cosmo told women that they had to weigh less than 100 pounds or they were fat, and they believed it for, well,
until Sir Mix-a-Lot came out with the lyric, Cosmo says you're fat, and I ain't down with that. People believed it all the way until then. Thank you for your service, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Now it's gone too far the other way. Just saying. But on the note of the subliminal messaging, I mean,
sure, go ahead.
But it varies. Like, so like, okay, so I'm a big Columbo fan, and this is a 70s program, people. And even then there was a plot where the murderer spliced in images that would make his target person thirsty. So he knew that he would get up, unalived him because of the messaging, that the imagery that put in, it's a whole thing. But also I was thinking about modern times. So there's a guy that I know that I work for. He does consulting work with this company who puts marketing, like adverts in video games. The new video games, like real ones. So it's like, it's kind of the same type of subliminal messaging, not so like nefarious or anything, but still you're seeing it constantly. It's in your mind. You don't even really think about it. It's just there all the time. And then it's like, oh, I want a such and such. Why do you want a such and such? Why do you want a Coke today? Like, I don't know. It's the mind games. The mind is a fragile thing.
It is. And they play on habits. And golly, that's when you play with habits, that's close to stimming, and there's no breaking that shit. So yeah, they fight dirty. And once they got to the 80s, they were super duper dirty with their marketing. The way that they marketed toys to kids, food to kids, like I said, fashion to men and women.
Have you guys ever looked at the Tostitos chips logo?
Yes.
Tostitos?
Oh, yeah, Tostitos. Thank you, Tostitos.
Yeah.
It like the two T's in the center and the I is actually two dudes sharing chips and salsa. And it was the first time, like, because I remember I was like, hold on, have you not seen this? Hold on, I'm gonna share my screen. Give me a second.
I've seen it a very long time ago, but it was cute because I saw like live reaction when you figured
this was 2006 when YouTube was brand new, and I was like, me and my buddy got real into subliminal messaging, like backmasking songs and stuff. And you never noticed that, right?
No.
But now I can't unsee it, and like it's to make you want to share chips and salsa and stuff with like your friends, your family, and so like ever since I saw this, I was on the lookout for subliminal messaging and products and logos and stuff everywhere.
I could have sworn you just discovered this like this past year.
No, I just told you about it because we were talking about government conspiracy stuff as we always do, so I was just re-bringing it up. But no, I found out about it in 06, and it's one of those things that was burned into my memory, like never left my mental.
Okay, Leon, do you know where the arrow is in the FedEx logo?
Yes, that was another one that was on that same list in that video I watched back in the day. So between the FED and the D and the E, it makes the arrow.
I thought it was the E into the X, but
or maybe it is the E and the X. Yeah, no, you're right. It is the E and the X. Either way, there's an arrow in there. Yeah.
Once you see it, you can't unsee like some of the dog beer. If you flip the can upside down, it's Batman eating Catwoman out.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Beer?
I remember. That one's cool. When it comes to dogs and cans, like the one that really bothers me is that Mug root beer has a dog on it, but Barks root beer doesn't have a dog, and it's called Barks.
Yeah, right.
And it has
says it bites. Yeah, it says it bites, and it doesn't. I mean, it does, but it's got no teeth.
What about the Chicago Bulls logo? You turn it upside down, it looks like a robot. Never mind. Have you seen that one?
Okay, this one's new to me. Hold on.
Leon, look at Chicago Bulls upside down. Looks like you can't unsee it.
Images. Yo, I had never seen that. Oh, that's
Share
awesome.
with the class. What does it look like?
Oh, okay. I didn't know if this is one of those things that would be allowed or not. All right, give me one moment here to hit the share screen button.
Get creative with your words.
Okay, yeah, I can get creative with my words. I'm good at that. All right, so here, all right, I hit share screen. Not zoomed in. We have an oh wait for everybody shared. There's what seems to be an automaton, copulating ones and
Oh my
zeros
God.
with another what seems to be, a crustacean of sorts.
Huh.
He's copying and pasting his code.
That robot's
Is
getting
that
it.
creative enough for you, Jess?
Replicating DNA.
Well, RNA, robo-NA.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got an
That one
angry face.
I can't take credit for that. I stole that joke from Futurama. So,
Huh.
I was 0 days old when I learned that one.
It's an educational program.
He's got an angry face too. I'm gonna call that hate fucking.
Oh yeah, it's an aggressive stance
Mhm.
there.
Yep.
I feel like that's how all sex goes down in Chicago.
This is true. This tracks. I used to live in Milwaukee.
Oh no.
Anyway, we were talking about a movie. My bad.
Hey, we love our 0 points on here. That's the whole point of our review here. We go off on tangents and we still get back
Good.
talking about the movie. Now, Leon, is there anything else about They Live that you want to highlight as something that you thought was super good about this movie?
Okay, so you only see the creatures through the sunglasses for the vast majority of the film, and which is in black and white. So at the very end, when you actually see it in color and you get to actually admire the prosthetic work, that's not what I was expecting. I thought it was really, again, very interesting creature designs, very interesting colors. I don't know what I was expecting, but again, since I had never seen the movie, I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting like pastels, or I guess not pastels, but the point is I wasn't expecting such like colors and contrast, the reds and the blues. And so yeah, that was visually, it was striking there at the end. And again, because I'm conspiratorially minded, the fact that this is how I believe the government actually works, maybe not aliens, maybe lizard people, whatnot. I think this movie is a message. I think the same thing about this as I think is of Men in Black. Homie knew something and they were using this movie to try and like subliminally teach us. There's all sorts of subliminalism.
Well, and the people that are the crazies, right? The ones that are like out in the public and the parks, like preaching and proselytizing that this is going on. They're the ones being silenced and like arrested for speaking the truth. When really, I mean, most people probably just think they're crazy, but the government, the agents, or whoever come and like arrest them, take them away, and
kind of like those of us that were talking about, migrants in cages and whatnot under the Obama administration. It was like, what? No, that's not. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Also, mullets are cool.
They're not that bad. I used to hate them, but maybe in my advanced age, I've grown to appreciate the with all of the modern haircuts the broccoli do. Yeah, bring the mullet back, please.
Oh,
Mama don't like tattletales.
That scene in the bank was always so freaking crazy to me because it's like the normies that are there don't know what's going on. He just comes in like a total psychopath, like specifically shooting like it's not randomly shooting. So just imagining what it would be like to be one of those characters in the film, like watching all this go down, like
shitting their pants, wondering if they're next.
That's crazy. Yes, mullet's greater than broccoli, Idaho. Every day. Yeah, the bank scene was
broccoli
wild to
haircut
me.
you called the new Clark Kent do? Is that the broccoli?
No, it's
Yeah.
the shape. It's the trimmed up at the bottom, but it's got the curly little.
Oh, is that what that is?
I don't know what the actual name is for it. I just call it. It looks like broccoli to me.
Oh my God.
I'm not hip. I don't know the names.
Keep your hair, Leon. Don't
Oh, come
cut
on
it.
now, Mox. Your hips don't lie. Shakira.
The style here in Oregon that they do that's kind of the broccoli haircut, I call the Campbell soup looking motherfuckers. Because they look like
Campbell
curly.
soup.
They look like the curly haired kid from the old Campbell soup commercials when we were kids. It's like those Campbell
About
soup
that.
looking motherfuckers.
I don't remember Campbell soup. I remember the Pepsi girl though. She was cute.
Oh,
yeah.
Curly Stew?
Yeah, she had like the brown curly hair, cute little nose and whatnot. I was a child at the time, by the way. I can say this. We've grown up together. Felt the need to.
Yeah, that was I cannot remember her name for the life of me. That was
Can't either.
the young lady that played Curly Sue. cannot.
I was just calling
Anyway.
her Pepsi Girl. Kind of like the Marlboro Man, but for something equally as harmful as cigarettes.
Full of cigarettes.
And that whole red dog beer thing. I'm looking at it. I'm covering it up what it says to cover up. No. Get out of here. I mean, I see what you're trying to do, but no.
I saw it when I was 12, 14.
Well, okay. Well, if you're 12, then everything looks like something.
Yeah, when we
Yeah,
were that
right.
age, yeah.
If it doesn't, you're gonna make it look that way. Damn it!
Yeah, that little space between the
Try
couch
hard enough.
cushions.
Oh no, Leon, no.
Hey, God, look, it's not just me. I've talked to a lot of dudes that had that same thought 12 years old.
Wait,
You
the
know,
what? What?
The little space between the couch cushions.
Oh, well,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you got to be careful because those couches in the 80s had the metal zippers and shit for the. Yeah, you can,
Yeah,
Yeah,
catch one of those.
I grew up with the 70s couch. Yeah, that was a thing.
yeah,
Yep.
you can hurt yourself.
It was all
I heard a story
floral
about a
stuff.
guy and a rolled up sleeping bag.
Huh?
That just feels like you would get, like, because it's all swishy and stuff. I feel like the friction would be, you know what?
You know, I didn't ask those. I didn't ask further. I didn't inquire further.
Don't fuck with me.
Did that couch do anything for you, Leon?
I don't know, the leather, like, you would need some proper lubrication or else you're going to stick to it because, you know.
Protectant.
Scotch
Speaking
guard.
of proper lubrication, the main gal in this, she's only in 3 or 4 scenes and whatnot. But my roommate looks at her and she goes,
Foster.
"Yeah." He goes, "Do you find 80s gals hot?" And I was like, "Wait, what do you mean?" He's like, "With the big hair and stuff." I was like, "Oh yeah, no, absolutely." He's like this girl. I was like, "I don't know about her. Like she looks too sinister. She's got like real piercing cat eyes, really pretty eyes, but there's something sinister about them. But in general, yeah, 80s babes with big hair and whatnot. Tony Catan from White Snake video, like, yeah, absolutely.
Well, she's also Evelyn from the Masters of the Universe movie from back then. So shout out
Oh
to
no
Meg
shit,
Foster.
really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
So if you look her up in Masters of the Universe, you're like, oh, that's why God made her look that way. She was she was born to play Evelyn. Far out, man. Way to go, God.
That's a hard role to beat too. So good luck to the next one.
Yep.
Thank you, Amazon Prime.
Allison Brie, is that who's doing it?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know it really had casted for the He-Man film yet.
Oh, there's
God.
been a lot of
I
casting,
heard
a
they're
lot
doing
of
the whole
leaks and
He-Man going
everything.
to Earth thing. Again.
Yes.
Yep.
So I was like, well, fuck this. Like that was one of the big complaints of the original. Is like like why in an era where we're finally getting something akin to source material accuracy, are you doing the same thing that was done back then that everyone hated?
I think it's a swerve. I think they're starting out on Earth and then transitioning to Eternia and hopefully staying there for the rest of the movie. So you're not seeing He-Man at the very, very end of the movie. You're like, well, that was worth 2.5 hours. Let's go home.
It's gonna suck again. It's Amazon MGM. I have no faith in them. I have no trust in them, and they can stay the hell away from Stargate because they're also screwing up Voltron and everything else that they've done. Their success rate for a show is about 9 failures out of 10.
And when they do have a successful show, they cancel it, Tick.
Yep.
All hasn't been canceled yet. Just saying.
Which one?
Fallout.
Oh, Fallout. I liked Fallout.
I did too. It hasn't been
okay.
canceled yet. I liked it. But no, I'm excited for Voltron. I like Voltron. I like Henry Cavill. Like I'm excited for it. Maybe
Henry
it's
Cavill's
misplaced.
the only
but-
part about that I like. Everything else is like, I'm going to wait and see, but I do not trust the director and writer of this one because all he does is action comedies, and I don't want a Fast and Furious Voltron.
I've only ever seen one Fast and Furious film, so.
You don't want to see
And I've
Vin
only seen
Diesel and
2.
Voltron talking about family?
He needs to be a Thundercats if they're going to do Vin Diesel.
Bro, but what was the blue Thundercat?
Pantero.
Yeah.
That's the Vin Diesel
Panther?
character right there.
I don't.
And just to tie it back around to
And-
like They Live, they are trying to remake that now. So be warned, everybody. John Carpenter tried to get a sequel for years and it did not happen because this was considered a failure at the box office, but it became a cult classic and more of a classic
Like
nowadays.
all of his films.
But it opened up at #1 at the box office. So
For
take
a
that
week.
what it is. For a
Well,
week. So
me
did
and my
Captain
roommate were
America.
actually. Me and my roommate were actually talking about that while watching it because he said this is a movie he wouldn't mind seeing remade, and he knows how jaded I am on what because he knows what I do on YouTube and stuff. And I was like, I was thinking about it because at first I was like, no, that'd be fucking retarded. Like I hadn't even finished the movie yet. I was already enjoying it. I was like, no, don't remake this. I can already tell. But as the movie comes to a close, I'm like, you know what? We're living in an era where people are actually waking up and stuff. If it's done right, I actually think it could be a good idea to remake this.
Sure.
I agree with you. I was thinking that too, rewatching it last night. I'm like, in the right hands, it can be done so much better now. Also, I mean, this has its own charm, but do it more instead of campy, do a really serious version. I think it could be done really well now.
You could
But
almost
I
do a remake and a sequel like 25 years later because they even mentioned in the movie at one point, oh, by 2025, we got this target for everybody. And it just
Teed
totally
up.
falls in line.
As far as I know, they are working on. They were going to make a reboot. They decided not to do that. They decided to go back to the source material of the original short story and make a movie about that. Then they said, well, you know what? Let's continue on with the They Live sequel because there is still something there with that. That is still a good universe. So I think we are getting both, or at least both are still in development.
And that's how I
interesting.
like a
That
remake
maybe
to
comes
happen, like
back-
The Thing with John Carpenter remaking the original Thing by totally making it something else entirely. And still
And both are
honoring the
good.
spirit.
The original Thing from Another World, and then John Carpenter's The Thing, which is one of the greatest films of all time, in my opinion. They are
Bingo.
both great for very different reasons.
Yes, I just watched it for the very first time from start to finish last year when we reviewed it. And
The original?
yeah, and golly,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. My dad loved that movie when I was growing up, but for whatever reason, it didn't catch me. I didn't understand it.
So did my grandfather. That's how I saw it. Was that he loved that movie, and so I think he and I watched it probably 3 times together between like 9th and 11th grade. And I haven't seen it since then, so I honestly was due for a rewatch. I've seen John Carpenter's The Thing, God knows how many times, but yeah, and they both start very similarly in terms of like the Norwegian base and whatnot. But Carpenter's version
it's a whole other
that like
animal.
30-minute mark or whatever. It's a very different movie, like from that point onward.
Yeah. Carpenter he was the bomb. He was a blessing from the 80s, 70s, and 80s.
And also, this is a nice one to see that he did the music for as well, like Halloween. Because while he directs a bunch of stuff, and he's a composer. He doesn't always compose for his own films. But I like when he does, and I found, and me and my roommate are both musicians. And at one point, he's like, "God damn it!" I was like, "What?" He's like, "How do they do it back then?" I was like, well, he's like, these movie soundtracks, you just use a few notes and it has such an impact. And then I was like, yeah, dude, Jaws is 2 notes. Like, you don't see that anymore. I love my Hans Zimmers and Danny Elfmans and whatnot, but some of these more classic films, the minimalism of the compositions are like, they're unmatched.
Yes. And Carpenter, golly, I want to say Elfman's my favorite composer, but I'd really got to have it to Carpenter. But
Carpenter and Alan Howarth is apprentice, basically.
Oh, well, I mean, Elfman and Carpenter, like those are all of my favorite movies are composed by those 2 guys pretty much. But I really like the sincerity and simplicity that comes with Carpenter. Like you get your whole symphony
again,
and
Halloween. Like again, it's so simple. It's just a repeating scale that goes up an octave each time. But it's brilliant.
Yeah, or you take the Spider-Man theme, where it starts out
my favorite Elfman score,
violins, and it works up into this entire symphony, and then you get Vampires, which is just a fucking slide guitar, and you're like, yeah, this rocks.
Yeah, Elfman is definitely my favorite composer, like in terms of film history. But like, man, I love Carpenter. He does great stuff, and they're very different. Elfman is far more complicated than like I could pick up a guitar and just learn a Carpenter track on that one instrument, and it would work. You can't really do that with Elfman.
No. But goddamn, do I love me the Carpenter scores? Like I love them. I think Vampires is probably my favorite one. Halloween would be my next favorite. He feels the film and he gets it. He just gets the vibe of it.
Each one he does for each film has its own identity.
Yeah, it's like its own character.
And the one for They Live is one of his absolute favorites. So,
did he do this one?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did this one.
He did do this one. Okay, because they said I don't know if he worked with somebody on this one or if somebody else had done it.
I didn't know this was a John Carpenter film since again I'd never seen it before. So I'm watching the opening credits and it says music by before it says directed by. So I was like, oh shit. He's by John Carpenter, awesome. And then like 4 or 5 credits later, directed by. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I didn't even know that this was. Yeah, I thought I'd seen almost all of his work. So again, how this one got by me, not only did I know what it was, but I'd never seen it. But
totally blind when you went into this movie. Then, like, you kind of
had
like a big concept.
The only thing I knew about this film was the famous line, "The here to chew bubblegum, kick ass, I'm all at bubblegum." And I knew the basic concept of you put on glasses and you see the world for what it is. And like those are the only 2 things I knew about the movie. Of course, and then it started Roddy Piper, and that was it. That's the only 3 things I knew. So this was a completely fresh, brand new experience for me, and I am very happy to have experienced it.
So for Vice Baby in the chat, who's never seen this before, don't watch us, but go in with an open mind. You might be surprised, pleasantly surprised.
Go in with an open mind about the movie about opening your mind. Like that's a really solid advice, actually. Like
free your mind. It's the whole Matrix awakening in a different universe, right? It's that same concept of the world is not as what it seems, and then you either take the pill, you put on the glasses, you see it for what it is. You're not the same anymore. You can never go back, and then if you're the hero type, you do something about it.
And he just decided to go off on a rampage.
Yeah. Reasonable men do unreasonable things sometimes. You push them too far.
Damn straight.
Goddamn awesome. Let's be real, though. Anytime somebody just rails off on a group with a shotgun, a group of bad guys, you're in for a good time. Whether you're playing a video game or watching it on a movie, if somebody's getting racked with a shotgun, you're having a good time. And there was plenty of that in this picture.
Just no headshots.
Rewarding.
No, there wasn't really.
But you bring up video games. That's so true. I remember this like back in shit. I don't even know what year this was, but it was when everybody still had landline phones, and I'm playing Resident Evil while talking to my fucking school buddy on the phone, and and I go to shoot the zombie, and I'm out of ammo. I'm like, "Fuck, run!" He's like, "What's happening?" I'm like, "I don't have a shotgun." And he's so calmly and casual. Life's no fun without a shotgun. And again, this must have been like 5th grade or whatever, and that stuck with me now in my 30s. And so it's like, it's true. Shotguns make everything better.
I need a Mossberg. Oh man. I with my VR headset, I play Arizona Sunshine, and when you get to the shotgun, I'm just kind of like, oh, daddy like. You flick your controller to snap it shut after you've reloaded it. I'm like, oh, I got a boomstick.
We need a They Live video game now.
Kind of. We need to get that.
I appreciated the Army of Darkness reference right there, since that's my favorite movie of all time.
We love Evil Dead over here.
Yeah.
My favorite franchise, favorite movies are Raiders of the Lost Ark and Army of Darkness. Favorite franchises, Indiana Jones and Evil Dead. Like those are the apex films.
I respect that. I greatly respect that.
Then I think we're going to be talking to you again in the near future.
Dude, any Bruce Campbell movie, Leon, I will find time to come on. Man, freaking hero.
Oh, don't start that because Kevin will start on Bubba Hotep or something like that.
Oh, that's my favorite non-Evil Dead Bruce Campbell film. It's Bubba Hotep.
Love that movie.
Scylla.
Hang on. Did they know? Did they know that you were quote tweeted by Bruce Campbell himself?
I didn't want to be braggadocious to bring it up, but yeah,
I'll brag for you.
He retweeted
Oh,
me
dude, that's fun.
You're like, I can die happy.
Thank you much. I did. I felt like I could die happy. Yeah, I did an AI generated image of him as James Bond, and I was like, I tagged Amazon. And I was like, Amazon, give the people what they want. Old Man Bond starring Bruce Campbell, and he retweeted, and he's like, I'll be the first Bond from Michigan.
Nice.
Great.
I like that. Like Old Man Bond isn't really a compliment type of thing. It's not, but he embraced it. He tweeted it. Posted
To a
reposted,
comic book
whatever.
fan, Old Man Blank is a normal thing, but after I said, I was like, oh fuck, I just said old man. If the context doesn't make sense, so yeah, I get exactly what you mean. I had that same second thought. I was like, I can't delete it now.
Yeah, and he retweeted
Good with it.
it, so you know.
Bruce is
He
a fun
retweeted it,
dude.
and he retweeted his own tweet, retweeting it, which is interesting.
That whole old man.
So I think old man is accurate because it means you don't know how to use the internet.
Yeah. I also like it when he likes the Superman, him being cast as Old Man Superman too. Like if they were
Yeah,
going to do a Kingdom Come proper sequel or adaptation, he would be the guy.
He has got the chin for Superman.
Yes, he does. We don't have to discuss Mom, Multiverse of Madness, Bruce, but with
Movie doesn't
Dave,
exist. It's it's a Sam Raimi film in name only.
kind of.
Did my boy Rowdy.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that around here. All right, now, unless there's anything else on the good side, guys, we should probably roll on over to anything
Yeah,
about
well,
the
I do
bad.
have one more thing, and I don't know.
No,
if
go ahead,
you watched
Leon.
it. I again, first time watching, was not expecting Gurley to just cap Frank there at the end.
Yeah, that was pretty harsh. But
Like,
I loved her doing the bottle spin and bottle smash on Piper. And at that point earlier in the movie, it was like something's up with her.
Where she tossed him out the window?
She hit him over the head with the glass bottle and he went through the window then.
Yeah.
It's like you almost knew like she doesn't give a damn what he's saying or doing or anything. And so later on when she gets Frank, it's supposed to play as a surprise, but not necessarily.
It still took me by surprise because of the way it's edited. It's just gun head bang cut. Like there's no lead up at all. It just in a matter of seconds happens. I was like, what the fuck?
Yep.
My roommate had seen it before, and even he was like, oh, I forgot that. Like,
yeah, if you haven't seen it in a long time or it's your first time viewing, it will catch you off guard. But if you've seen it like the 500 times, like between Kevin and me, or even Moxie, who's probably seen this way more than she wants to admit to, when you know it's coming, it's like, yeah, that's coming, and the bitch is gonna get on bad. It's like, man, you did our boy Frank dirty too.
Poor Frank.
Poor boy Frank.
Tisk.
All right, guys, we do have to get over into anything that you might consider on the bad side. We do this with every movie, even if it's nitpicky or whatever. If there was anything about this movie you did not like, Moxie, we are going to start with you, and I do have one thing I got to ask you.
Hey, what's wrong, baby?
Those scenes were a little over the top.
I thought so too.
They were a little over the top. I can appreciate camp, but okay, that was a bit much. So like I said, as far as like remaking it and making it a serious film, I would be totally down for that because it has so much potential. But this movie is just, it's comedy. But as a kid, when I saw it, I didn't understand the comedy, I guess, at the time. I just thought it was a scary movie.
Fair point.
So, I mean, I guess I was that young to not get it and just be terrified because look at that. I mean, now I can look at it and go, well, that's kind of cheesy, but still, it's a little freaky. But yeah, what's wrong, baby? Those scenes were, I could have done a little without some of that, but it's still fun. It is nitpicky. It doesn't make me dislike the movie, but
Right.
I could do it. It was a little much. That's all.
That's fair. How about you, Leon? You got anything that you were kind of like, I don't know about this with this movie?
Two things. And to be fair, this is a crime the vast majority of 80s films, especially 80s action style films, make, and it's one that is these are tropes that for the most part we've gotten rid of, and I'm glad. Well, one's a trope, and one's just a technological thing. It might not have even been the case when it came out, but the sound design in this is terrible. Now, it might not have been back then, but as our technologies progressed in terms of our speakers, things like that. Even Die Hard has shit sound design, and Die Hard's damn near a perfect film. Rewatching Die Hard on like a modern, nice setup and stuff is a bit rough. You've got like overly loud sound effects, dialogue is really quiet, music fades in out in weird spots. Probably wasn't an issue back then since everything was mono, or maybe you only had left right. But yeah, so that was a major issue for an audio snob like me. And I'm so glad we're mostly over and tired of the trope where everybody has machine guns and is firing them, but for whatever reason, the hero never gets fucking hit, but manages to also hit everyone. Like, I loved the shootout scenes in this for the first 3 seconds until you have an army of dudes all using submachine guns, and homie ain't even grazed. Like,
and he's got a shotgun.
They all played stormtroopers, back in
right
back in the day. But piggybacking on what you said, Leon, not necessarily quality of the sound, but I have been rewatching a bunch of 80s movies or watching for the first time, like Lethal Weapon, like all of them. Back in the day, from the late 80s to early to mid 90s, that bluesy, jazzy, whoever was doing the soundtracks for these, it seems like it was all like the same person or group, because they're like very lots of saxophone. I mean, it's nostalgic, sure, but especially watching a lot of them all recently, I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot. They did this all the time.
Yeah, there was a period of time, you're right, like the late 80s to the mid 90s where that was everywhere, but it's also been gone for so long. I kind of want to come back because it adds almost like a sexiness to like an era of class to these action films that isn't just mindless violence. So maybe bring it back, but don't overdo it like they did for years.
Well, yeah. So I guess maybe it's just because I've been watching so many, like in the past couple of weeks, that it seems like it's so repetitive. Like, this again.
We need more John Tesh music.
I'm gonna need some biography on that one, or some discography or whatnot. I don't recognize the name off the top.
John Tesh was one of the hosts of Entertainment Tonight back in the 80s, and he was also a saxophonist. And he came out with an album called Sax by the Fire.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. And it was something. I think the cover was him open chested with the saxophone in front of a fire. You're just kind of like, all right then. And it sold like hotcakes.
Oh, brother. We finally got a John Tesh reference in our show.
Not a touch too late.
That's Leon. All right, Kevin, what about you?
You want a test tube, baby, Leon?
What was that?
Are you sure you want a test tube, baby, Leon?
That was good. And no, I'm not sure.
Were those experiments gone wrong? No.
I was a success. I was born this way. I can talk to animals.
Just don't start singing that song, please. That was balls, babe.
Okay, so Spotify just came out with Family Guy's 25th anniversary album, and it has Prom Night Dumpster Baby on there, and my wife fucking hates me. Man, I love that song so goddamn much.
For all the knocks you could take at Family Guy, and trust me, there are a lot, even the non-lyrical songs, just like the soundtrack music, it's all big band orchestral, like orchestra done. If you ever watch the behind the scenes of Family Guy and you see how it's all being recorded, it's like a legitimate orchestra. It's really, really impressive.
Yeah. I love their behind the scenes for that. So sorry, you guys got me going on the test tube baby and got me thinking Prom Night Dumpster Baby, and sorry.
It's all connected somehow.
Yeah.
If you try hard enough.
Yeah, Kevin, try harder and tell us what's bad about They Live.
It suffered from a lack of budget. It really did. The cheesiness comes from lack of budget. I think that's the problem. But they did a good job with a whole lot of things. You know, they tried making a lot of political statements or social commentaries rather. A lot of that was lost, I think, because people were wanting to see more action. So if you want to see that social commentary, it's there. If you want to see action, sorry, you're going to have to see a little bit of social commentary first.
Yeah, but this social commentary is well done in that it doesn't really pick a side politically, since this is an all-encompassing social problem.
Yes, and the bad guys are us. Like they even said, most of the cops are humans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're just being told what to do by the aliens.
Doing their job.
Yep, doing their job. I want to watch V.
Actually, so I'll
this
ask
has
you
made
guys-
me want to watch V for Victory again. Like it really has. Like we just watched that recently, and I'm kind of like, oh, it's so V or V the Final Conflict.
So me and my roommate were talking about this when we got near the climax when they're shooting up the TV station and whatnot. He's obviously letting the humans go. At one point, you know, the two dudes run down the hall and he stops, notices a human, and lets him keep going. And he was like, "Oh, my room was like, look at that. He's letting the humans go." I said, "No, fuck that. These humans have aligned themselves with the alien. Everyone's getting blown away in my book. Like, you human and this you deep in it. Sorry, you ain't human to me anymore. You getting fucked, son."
Yeah, there is that with this movie. Like, you know, they get to the point where it's not just aliens. There's human beings that know that the aliens are there also and are complying and helping with the takeover. They're selling us all out. They talk about global warming in this movie long before global warming was a public knowledge thing, and that these aliens are causing the global warming. But we're okay with it because we're being taken care of. By 2025, we'll be dead or whatever by natural causes, but we'll live a good life until then.
Our projections show that by the year 2025, not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection and the dominion of this power alliance.
That one.
New World Order, baby.
Mhm.
Welcome to 2025.
And then I appreciate the aliens being in black and white. It leaves you wondering, what do the eyes look wet? Because there's a reflection in the eyes, and in the black and white, it looks really like curious. Like you almost want to touch that eye. Is it really wet? Is it going to squish if I poke it?
And that's something that was brilliant about the Twilight Zone era and the Outer Limits of back in the day. I Love Lucy, which I love. The black and white, for let's say it's a budgetary issue, the black and white is so forgiving, and makes it seem so much more mysterious. Like come on, the colorized I Love Lucy episodes, no, thank you, I'm out. But something about the black and white, especially when it's eerie and creepy, it just adds another layer to being just that. I mean, just so you see this and it's like, oh, that's really cool. But when it's in black and white, like you said, it seems like it's a reflection. It seems kind of like an animal in the dark. There's kind of like that shimmer going on with the eyeballs. It just comes, and especially when they're in the salon and the ladies, it gives this whole vintage vibe to it too, which I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
I love the black and white thing they did with it, whether that was to cover up any sort of budgetary issues or whatever, but I thought it was a good choice, even if it wasn't a budget problem.
It was. I thought it was. And then you finally get to see them as they are at the end, and I'm just kind of like, golly, was that a good divide? Because people don't appreciate black and white anymore. Like you ask anyone under the age of 35 really, and they're like, black and white, unless they're like a horror fanatic. Most people do not like black and white films.
So I was like, man, I went to the fucking 100th year or 90th year anniversary screening of Jekyll and Hyde. That shit's in black and white. That shit's barely talking. I
was gonna say,
even then, growing up, Clerks is probably the movie I've seen more than any other film in my life, and that's in black and white. So
Which one?
I mean, but
Clerks?
most people.
Oh,
But yeah, no, you're right. Most people will instantly
You're
reject
not
something
all.
if it's most people reject something that's black and white if they're of a certain vintage, as my co-host
Ew,
would say.
boring. It's old. Ew,
Yes.
gross. Yeah, want to see something fast paced and action packed, and I wanted the graphics to be like so real. It's like,
and it doesn't require me to use my imagination.
right.
Black and white does. But again, going back to the squishiness, what's it feel like? Oh, I wonder what it looks like. And then your mind starts making those colors for you.
Fills in the
Yeah, and so if it's a horror film, it's going to look scary because your mind is going to want it to be scary. You want to be scared. You're gonna.
My favorite horror film of all time is Night of the Living Dead, and while objectively as a film, Dawn of the Dead is better. By the way, there's another thing I loved about this movie. George Romero, shout out, hero. But anyway, while Dawn of the Dead is an objectively better movie, I actually think Night of the Living Dead is scarier because of the black and white. Though the movie is bloody, but the blood is obviously black because it's black and white. There's so much about it that I think makes it a scarier film, even if it's a worse shot and directed film and whatnot than its sequel.
Yeah.
All the sex and violence on the screen has gone too far for me. I'm fed up with it. Filmmakers like George Romero and John Carpenter have to show some restraint.
What?
I was just gonna say too, with what they were able to do with black and white, like with many episodes of Twilight Zone, the shadows, and they create the emotion with very simple techniques, and it just gives this ominous vibe with just little effort. Like, I mean, there's effort obviously in the artistry to make it so, but we were talking about the graphics and not having to think, and there's so many episodes of Twilight Zone that I really love the shadow work. There doesn't have to be dialogue. The music gets intense, and then like you said, your imagination fills in those gaps and creates the intensity just off of simple techniques. That artistry is just a time in the past. But go on.
Thinking of black and white, like think of the 1960s, black and white. There was it's integral to the culture of the era. I mean, whether you're talking about schools or water fountains, like.
You know, I thought you were going somewhere, and then you went that direction. I'm like, this bitch.
This bitch.
Well done. You got me.
Thank you.
I've got Princess Clara lines running through my head now, and I shouldn't. It's not Thursday. 2 drinking fountains just mean shorter lines for everyone.
Oh, brother, Kevin. Now, if we're talking about anything that I would consider bad about this movie, it's, I gotta say, it's most likely the disappointment in the box office. I almost wonder if it wasn't marketed very well. I mean, granted, its first weekend, it did very, very well, but there was no staying power. So it kind of made you wonder, so what exactly is happening? Because this is John Carpenter at the height of his power, so to speak, in the 80s. And he still had more movies to come. Big Trouble in Little China was fantastic. Escape from New York. We got Halloween. We got The Thing. And some people would mark like, hey, this is kind of the downcline in John Carpenter. No, that's Ghost of Mars. You need to see all of his movies to understand Ghost of Mars is about where it starts to end for him. And I know Kevin's like, oh my God, no, don't talk about Ghost of Mars like that. Well, Kevin, no. Ghost of Mars is terrible.
I've never
Ice Cube.
I will never watch Ghost of Mars. I have no desire to see John Carpenter and Ice Cube in space.
Somebody's going to finally get us to watch
it. To me, he started to, like the stories started to become less interesting when we got to Prince of Darkness. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't what I expected. And I think maybe this suffered in the same regard. Like the hero doesn't make it. He wins, but he doesn't make it. America doesn't really care for that. Like not since John Wayne movies where they kind of like, oh, that was fantastic. He died. Fuck it. Like we like the hero winning and living in this one. We like sequels. And yes, you can have a sequel to this movie, but not with John Nada.
And not with Frank, not with anybody. Nobody got the girl. No hero actually survived this movie. Everybody
They
died
helped
except for
awaken the
some of the
masses,
secondary
though.
characters. That's
Yeah.
It
true.
was that not Messiah's type of story, but the sacrificing on behalf of others. Sure, Messiah, whatever. So you were saying something about the budget or box office or whatever. They had a $4 million budget for the film.
Yeah.
In the same year, Die Hard had a $28 million budget, and stretched out that budget, guerrilla style film techniques. And it says the iconic black and white truth vision scenes were a cost effective way to show the alien perspective without breaking the bank.
Yep.
I mean, happy accident or happy like coincidence of trying to save money and doing it that way, because I think that was such a good choice. Whether it was
I think it worked out very well personally.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with Kevin. I agree more with Moxie on this. Like the aesthetic choices were fantastic in this movie. And so while the budget was weak, maybe we would have had a little more gore. We would have had a little more makeup effects. Our alien creatures could have had more detail to them if we had a better budget. But for what we ended up receiving in return for like, when you have a low budget, you have to get creative. And this movie is a perfect example of John Carpenter showing, hey, I did this in Halloween for a slasher movie. I can do this with an alien invasion movie, which in my opinion gives homage to shows like V, the series, and V, the mini series before this, because he was a big fan of all these alien movies from all the way back to the original The Thing from Outer Space movie, all the way to current things at the time. And I think it works out well based on the budget. But I will agree, I would have liked make that about 10 million, and I think you could have gotten the movie he really wanted.
Probably.
I think that would have worked out.
It went on to gross over 13 million, so the ROI was still good for them, like for what they had.
Just not good enough to get a sequel, apparently.
Lame.
Oh, they're after me.
Get him.
The Sounds of California, how I miss it.
Goddamn LA.
I love it.
All right, guys, let's head on over to Final Judgment time. All right, Kevin, let's start with you.
Spelling of judgment with an E in the middle, by the way. Just a little side. Not many people use judgment with an E in the middle. I prefer it that way.
Fucking
dude,
thank
you. You have somebody who's usually honest about that, and you're the first person who has mentioned that. We've done this on purpose for a very long time, waiting for our proofer to be like, that's not how you do that.
You can spell it both ways, but commonly it's without the E. But when you put it in there, it's intentional because it has more depth to it. And anyway, go on.
Thank you, Moxie.
After the first year, or when Jeff actually brought it to my attention that I'd been spelling it wrong for a year, I was like, well, now I just need to do it because Lynn hasn't caught me. Like wow, okay, let's do, yeah. And I was like, do I put an I at the end instead of an E for the mint? Like, do we fuck with her that bad?
Just to mess with Lynn.
We love her. So my final judgment for this flick is, golly, you know, I for as few times as I've seen this, I'd still love to watch it more. It's not as exciting as, say, something like Big Trouble in Little China or Escape from LA or The Thing, but it makes you think. Probably this makes you think more than any of the rest of his films because of the commentary that it makes. The movie still remains relevant today. So, I mean, what's that tell you? Like these principles that they're talking about still hold up, and it's worth a watch. This is in a way a forgotten Carpenter film, not as bad as, say, Prince of Darkness, which deserved it, but this one needs a little bit more eyes on it. It needs fresher eyes, younger audiences watching it. Scream Factory has a great 4K out for it right now. Walmart's got steel cases for them. Definitely check it out. They're the cheapest of Scream Factory's steel books, actually. I want to say they're only like $23.
Yeah, it's a very affordable release out there. So, and Kevin, you want to give it a score, and then we're gonna head on over to Moxie and Leon, and then I will wrap us up.
You know what? I'll give this one a 7.5. I enjoy it. It's not as exciting as it could be, even though there's like, you know, a 6-minute long fucking fist fight. But I really like this picture. It's not a movie you forget. You will watch this movie and you will remember things that you see in it for the rest of your life.
Right on.
My turn.
And Moxie.
So I would agree 7.5 out of 10. And I think compared to a lot of modern movies and people that I frequently, you know, hang out with that rate movies and go into great detail, I think because of those things that you said, as far as like it still holds up, it's a timeless premise. There are parallels that have always been there. It will always be there between, you know, distrusting the government, commercialism, consumerism, and getting distracted by all of the busyness of the world without, you know, focusing on the real issues that are going on. Yeah, I mean, it's got a little bit of everything. I do appreciate the camp, the comedy. There's not a whole lot of dialogue in this, but I think that is smart too, because it doesn't need to be very wordy, because that's not the point. I think the imagery is so impactful, whether it's cheesy or not. The imagery is so impactful, it doesn't need a whole lot of dialogue. Maybe Roddy Piper wasn't the best person to deliver a lot of the wordiness, but there's some banger lines that are memorable that they're great. It's a really cool movie. Freaked me out as a kid. I appreciate it more now that I'm more in the know about politics and whatever as an adult. And going, yeah, this holds up. I mean, people can shit on it for whatever reason, but I personally think it holds up.
Very good.
It just occurred to me that his bandolier has bullets on it.
And yet we never see him reload once during this film, which is another thing that bothers me, by the way. Did that bother you, Mox?
Yeah.
That's a shotgun. Shotguns don't take bullets.
Does he ever use the revolver that's in his pants?
He uses it to blow up the satellite dish at the end.
Oh, okay.
And doesn't he shoot Holly with it?
It's better. I mean, it's better to have them and not need them than, you know.
I guess. I don't know. I just finished playing Red Dead Redemption, so I'm just kind of like, what's the bandolier for, man?
You know what? You're going to be a protagonist in a movie. You're going to go save the day. You're going to go full cowboy and just shoot him up, pew pew. Wouldn't you want one too? Come on.
I'd want
Elgato.
I'd want a rope. A rope. You know, I mean, Charlie Bronson always had a rope.
I'd want a bullwhip, so I would never use it.
Bullwhip, so I'd never use it. I'm the dumb shit that fucking hurt himself with it and be like, drop it.
All right, Leon, what's your final judgment on They Live, buddy?
Well, first of all, I kind of agree with Kev in that this is probably John Carpenter's most poignant film, which is saying a lot because he's actually, I mean, you talk about how The Thing is poignant in terms of trusting your fellow man. Halloween in terms of the Stranger Danger myths. Like there's actually a bit of good thinking man stuff in a lot of his work, but I do think that this film suffers from a bit too many technical things. Again, the audio, the bottomless mags. I also think that we don't actually get enough character from Nada. I like him as a character, but he's more of a force of nature. Like he accepts what's going on very quickly and immediately decides I'm going to wage a one-man war against the aliens. Like there's not quite that depth there. However, the choreography is great. The story is timeless. Question authority and also take the fight to that homo-ass authority that's keeping you down and being oppressive. So I respect the shit out of that. So yeah, I think I'm going to give this 7 dismantle the deep states out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, for me, I'm going to agree with you on the character development for Nada. With Piper, they're definitely highlight his strengths and hide his weaknesses because he is arrested, transitioning and
see
with
that
Nada.
right there. That's how
They
the
got
audio
him.
mixing sounded.
I'm sorry, what's it?
There we go. Okay, you're back. Your audio went on the fritz for a sec there.
God damn it! I hate this shit. This is not how it usually goes on our show. He
dare
was
you go on
wearing a wedding
vacation?
ring on his hand, so Nada had some sort of affiliation with a wife, or I give this an 8 out of 10. Character development kind of sucked. I wanted a longer runtime.
Yes, longer runtime would have been helpful. Shit. Again, a sequel would have been helpful because there is so much they could have done with this story.
I don't know about longer runtime. This is a tight 90. I miss when movies could be a tight 90.
I only say I would add like about 5 to 7 minutes just for Nada's character.
Okay, yeah, 5 to 7, that's fair. A lot of times when people say longer runtime, they want another 20, 30 or something. Okay, yeah, another 5 to 7 minutes. Yes, I could agree with that.
No, I just wanted more explosion. More explosion. And maybe what kept some alien explosion. That's really what I wanted. Violence. Like in the X-rated version of RoboCop. They didn't put anything fucking like terrible back in. No long story that she didn't want. We lost Jeff again.
Oh, R.I.P.
Anyway. I was going to digress and talk about the X-rated version of RoboCop. That's not what we were going at. There he comes.
Like that alien in the very last scene.
In the very last scene. Oh my. What's the matter? I was almost there. That was I don't know that I was as disturbed by that as you, but I was definitely kind of like, huh. So that's the thing.
It's gratuitous, but I'm gonna be real. We went in an entire 80s film without anything gratuitous until the last scene, so I hand wave it. She also had nice tits, so you know.
Well, that's where that last extra 5 minutes could have come in. You know, you've got TNA that can go in because it's an 80s film. There's more explosions that could have gone in because it's an 80s film. There's more gore that could have gone in because it's an 80s film. They only really showed one fucking like arterial spray from the shotgun. I don't know why this movie got an R rating. Oh, the boobies.
The usage of the word fuck, I would guess.
Probably the F word, because if you go back to 1984, 16 Candles showed boobies, underage boobies, reportedly. And it was a G rated, maybe PG.
Wow. What a different time, baby.
Oh, really?
Miss it. I miss it.
Ew. That's not okay. I'm not a John Hughes.
He was actually 25 years old, so. But still,
yeah, John Hughes fan, really?
No, not at all. Like I like Weird Science and Dutch. That's it.
Wow. I mean, John Hughes fell off in the 90s, but his 80s work is golden. I think that Ferris Bueller's Day Off is probably his most overrated film. It's good, but not as good as everyone says. But yeah, no, John Hughes is goated.
Ever since I was a kid, I hated movies where kids like were smarter than adults and always got one over on the adults. I'm like, that's not how fucking real life works.
I hated that specifically in Harry Potter. I first noticed that in Harry Potter, and it didn't make any fucking sense to me. But by the same token, I was younger when I was watching. I don't think I actually started watching John Hughes films till I was already in high school. And by that point, when you're in high school, you do think you're smarter than all the adults around you. So it doesn't bother me as much in those ones.
Fair enough. I was just already tired of it by the time Harry Potter came around. So by the time Harry Potter came around, I was already an adult and very used to it.
Yeah, no, I was in like middle school or something by that point. So I wasn't quite there yet.
Yeah, but
dating myself in a not good way.
Those old 80s flicks where they're yeah, I'm gonna die. Yeah, no. I'm gonna diatribe on that one. I'm gonna stop.
Well, let's do some outros. Moxie, Leon, we're going to start with Moxie. You want to let everybody know where they can find you and what you're up to next?
Sure. So I'm Moxie Dame on the YouTubes. On Twitter, I'm Surly Durly, and I have a link tree on there. So I post when I'm going to be streaming, and stream with Leon frequently and other members of what we've deemed the cabal. So I'll be on other people's shows like 4 or 5 days a week. And then I have my main Monday show, Saucy Rabble, where I do one-on-one interview, kind of like enlist somebody to be my co-host for the evening. And then on Fridays, I do pre-FNT lawsuit pending, where I just hang out with the chat for about 45 minutes before we roll into Nerd Wars' pre-FNT show. So that's the next step for me.
Always a good time with Moxie streams. Everybody should check those out.
Hard agree.
And Leon?
Oh, yeah, you can find me over at the channel Words of Paradise. I've released 3 videos today. Every one of them has flopped, so please do me a favor. Go check those out. They're not bad. At least I hope they're not bad. And then I've got at least one video coming out tomorrow. Thursday night at midnight Central Time, streaming with Niat. We're going to do Neon Leon. I'm going to interview Niat. And then on Friday, me, Yellow Flash, and a few others are getting together to do a Dragon Ball Daimo review. So it's, yeah, stacked week.
Right on. I like tuning into your streams when I can. I usually have to watch them all on like replay.
No, you're in the chat often, man. I see it, and I appreciate it.
I try.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Kevin, you handled the outro, so I don't lose my internet here.
All right.
Special shout out to Leon for giving us some gifted memberships earlier. That was very kind of you, buddy.
Very much.
Love to do it. Happy to do it.
And then, of course, you guys could find us here all week long on the Suns and Shadows YouTube channel. So it's like here on 0 Point Reviews, Nostalgia TV, and every Saturday night on Deadwire Live. I almost said it wrong. Got it right finally. Jeff, go ahead.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Apologies for my internet connection here. This is not how it usually goes, but we had some great guests, great conversation. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out. And when you subscribe below, hit the bell notification so you can stay tuned to all of our video content. And we will see you all on the next one.
Life's a bitch. She's back in heat. You're okay. This one, real fucking ugly.
I don't like you.